you just loved dance and you wanted more of it. And then all of a sudden these extra ideas started being added on of, oh, you have to be this to really be happy, and this, and this, and this. And then we just start to feel as if those standards are so real, but they're honestly kind of made up, okay? Hey dancers, it's Kirsten. Welcome back to the Confident Dancer YouTube channel. Today I have a pep talk for all of you, especially those of you who are on the pre-professional to professional track with ballet. I noticed there's this common mindset that tends to make us not feel good enough, like we're not doing enough, we never can do enough to be good enough. And it steals our joy, makes us very frustrated and feel inadequate, and it just kind of sucks away the whole purpose of dance as I see it, which is tied into the idea of part of the purpose is to really enjoy it because it's such a great thing that we are so lucky to be able to spend our time doing something that we love. So the pep talk I have for you today has a few ideas in there that will help you to really enjoy your journey for what it is. And I really do believe and have seen that that helps dancers dance better. When we're happier, we feel more at ease, and we feel like we're good enough for right now. So I hope that this pep talk really helps you out. Let me know what you think of it, and let's get into it. So the first idea I want to talk about is something that came up in a coaching session with a client last week. She was always feeling, and has been feeling for years, that she always has to be the hardest working one. She always has to push, and when she's not pushing to her absolute limit, which is unsustainable, she fears that she's not doing enough, she isn't enough, her superpower is not there because her value is in how hard she works. And it was putting her in this cycle of, I always have to be better than my last performance. And if I'm not better, or if I'm plateauing, then that means I'm failing and this is the end. And so there was this very absolute mindset that was obviously very stressful. And so the idea that I brought up with her is this idea of an unconscious promise. Basically what that means is this idea that if I start this sentence, this question, you fill in the rest of the answer. Once I finally do feel or achieve blank, then I will finally feel or be blank. An example of how one might fill in those blanks are, once I finally achieve principal status, then I will finally stop worrying so much. Once I finally consistently feel at the best shape I've ever been in all the time, then I won't feel insecure anymore. So what this sentence and this little exercise is designed to point out is this idea of what I've called an unconscious promise. This promise in your mind that honestly a lot of us aren't even aware of, that, we've made this deal with ourselves that, once I achieve this level, then I'll be happy. And this is a generic idea I'm sure many of you have heard of before, but here's another layer that you might not have heard of before, which is the idea that we are often motivated towards this idea of freedom. I often talk to dancers when they're starting to work with me or considering working with me and we meet for the first time and I'm asking them more about their challenges and their goals. What I hear very often is, when I ask them, okay, so what do you want to feel? How do you want your mindset to be different? How do you want your life to be different as a dancer? What do you want to accomplish through our work together? And once I'm getting to know what they really want, a word that I hear very often is, I want to feel free. I want to feel freedom when I dance. And that can be such a loaded word. Why? Because when I dissect it more with them, oftentimes I hear this goes two ways. It's either a freedom to experience something very positive, or a freedom from something negative that they're really tired of experiencing. Most times I hear that dancers are motivated towards freedom because it symbolizes a freedom from something that they're so tired of, like self-doubt, always feeling inadequate, never feeling confident, wanting to feel joyful, but they just feel frustrated and, disappointed instead. I'm bringing this up with you because I want you to examine, are there unconscious promises that you're holding with yourself right now, that you are setting up and you're living for? Like, once you achieve that status, once you're finally as skinny as you were when you were 14, which, I'm just going to say it, I've felt that way through my 20s, especially in my younger 20s, and I had to let that go because I was never going to look like that again, and if I did, that would be unhealthy. So there can be these ideas like, when I look like that again, I'll be happy. When I am the best in the class, I'll finally feel good enough. When I'm the favorite in a company or I get a contract, then I will finally be free from my self-doubt and my really critical thoughts of myself. Then that voice in my head will finally go away. No, it won't. and you know it. You know it. So this whole process starts with saying, what is the promise that I've been living for? And is that really true? And can I, instead of looking for that promise to be fulfilled in this arbitrary level of achievement, could I find that freedom from the self-doubt, from the negative beliefs about myself, from all that stuff right now, so that the reward can be in your journey, not the result at the end of this journey that you absolutely have to have, or else your whole life wasn't good enough, you didn't do enough. So what I want to share in this video is that once we start to work on identifying what are the things I'm living for, what are those unconscious promises that I'm striving towards that I might not even be that aware of, and instead of looking for that reward on the other side of some achievement, which you all know that if you get there, the bar is just going to keep moving. I see it all the time with the dancers I work with, and I'm always trying to help them come back to satisfaction with the now, which will end up helping them to feel free to actually achieve their goals more effectively, but from a place of just positively desiring those goals and not living for them as if those goals are their salvation. Because no, they're not. You know that they're not. Identify what are those promises that you're trying to keep with yourself, and instead of looking for that reward at the end of this arbitrary level of achievement or status or a look or someone else's opinion of you reaching a certain place, instead ask yourself, how can I create this freedom right now? And I do obviously want to say that that process of letting go of self-doubt, building authentic confidence, shifting into a healthier belief system around yourself, what you're capable of, your future, all that stuff, that is something that I help dancers to accomplish in the Confident Dancer Coaching Program. As a high-performance mindset coach, I really specialize in the psychology behind helping dancers to optimize their well-being, build confidence so that they can enjoy their journey, be well mentally and emotionally, and perform their best consistently. So if those mental blocks are really holding you back and you're starting to identify that unconscious promise, but you're like, okay, well, how do I start to work on gaining freedom from these negative patterns? Then definitely I would love to help you with that. There's so much work you can do on your own. Of course, journaling is really, really great, but if you are wanting that extra support that can be so life-changing and powerful, I've seen it, then do reach out. My website is kirstenkemp.com. It's linked down below. You can learn more about my coaching services and book a free 30-minute consultation with me to assess if working together would be a great fit. So just wanting you to know that that support is available to you. And to finish up that conversation on the freedom from versus freedom to, is the beautiful thing is once you start to resolve a lot of those fear-based mentalities and the negative experiences you're having that you want freedom from, once you start to resolve those, your mind actually has the space available to start having that freedom to mentality, that motivation towards a positive result instead of constantly being motivated by fear of a negative outcome. If we're constantly pushing away from what we want, it's taking all that energy that we could be devoting to go towards a positive outcome. And it's hard to really describe how life-changing that shift is until you've experienced it yourself. I can tell you it's life-changing. Once you get to that point, you can start to really ask yourself, what do I want? What does really matter to me? And you can move towards those outcomes and those experiences without this pressure of like, I have to have it. It's more of just a, that would be cool and I really want to have it. So it's actually this mentality that gives you this beautiful sense of freedom, whether you end up achieving the outcome or not. It's really cool. And the really main message of this video that I want to get across is the reward is something that's happening right now. Instead of at the end of your journey, your series of accomplishments in life. Yes, accomplishments are great, and that's perfectly fine to value accomplishment. I certainly do as a person, and there used to be some more, negative aspects of my relationship with accomplishment, and I've tried to really make a healthy relationship with my value of accomplishment now, and I've made big strides towards that. So it's not bad to want to accomplish things at all, and it's not like letting go of your intense attachment to accomplishment will make you lazy. It certainly won't. If you really have a positive desire to accomplish things, trust that it will totally still be there if you remove your desperation. You really don't need the desperation and the messaging in your own mind of like, I'm nothing without this. You don't need that, and it's so important to trust just the fear-based motivation and the pressure you put on yourself. I see it's like such a lie that's promoted in ballet culture of like, we have to be scared to work hard. No, we don't. I would love for all of you to trust yourselves a little bit more, give yourself a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt that if you just remove that negativity from your mind and your life and your motivation, that you will still desire to work hard just from a place of wanting to, not feeling like your life is on the line, your ego is on the line, and you absolutely have to or else you're trash. The reward is in the process. You're living it right now. This whole idea of, I just want to dance and I just love to dance and that's why I want to be a professional. Okay, great. Maybe being a professional dancer is an evolution of, your expression of your love for dance, but see it as an evolution, as something that you just want to grow more into, and that would be a cool next step, rather than, again, this idea of salvation, like, then I'll finally enjoy myself. If you're not enjoying yourself now, why would more of the same lifestyle or a similar lifestyle make you happy? It won't. It won't. You will find something else to be really unhappy about. Believe me, it's all in your mentality, and every experience is what you make it. We love to just buy into that idea that, once you finally get a certain level or whatever it is, then you'll be happy. But stop relying on external circumstances to make you so much happier or to make you see yourself in a certain way. It's honestly an inside job. And that's why I'm so passionate about the work that I do and I put out these videos, because I love dance and I want all of you to continue to be free to love dance as well. But I think our genuine love for dance is something that we'll be able to feel when we stop relying on these external measures of achievement and whatnot to reconnect us with our love of dance, which was there before you really got into the idea that you have to achieve all these things. Like, chances are when you were young, you just loved dance and you wanted more of it. And then all of a sudden these extra ideas started being added on of, oh, you have to be this to really be happy, and this and this and this. And then we just start to feel as if those standards are so real, but they're honestly kind of made up. Okay, let's just acknowledge that. And there's also this idea of, like, psychologically, research has shown that we tend to really look back on the past with rose-colored glasses. We tend to really make it feel like, looking back, life was so great. And then when we look forward, we also feel like the grass is going to be greener over there. But life is obviously lived in the present right now. So what if we take that perspective that we often apply to the past or to the future, and we start looking for the good in our situation right now? That is so important. It's a choice that you make every day. And the more good you look for, the more good that you'll find. The more contentment you choose to have in your journey right now and fulfillment, I really believe the more goodness that will unlock in your future going forward. And I want to give you a personal example of a realization that I had in my own life. So I realized as a professional that, yeah, I was having a lot of fun, and honestly, it was like a dream come true for me personally. And I had done a lot of work on my mentality to be able to appreciate it for what it was at the time. Meanwhile, I know a lot of my peers were not very happy. So, it's not like, oh, my situation made it so great. I just chose to be really happy and grateful. Not that there weren't challenges, obviously. But I remember looking back to my student days with such fondness. Like, wow, how cool was it that at a summer intensive at San Francisco Ballet, I got to practice in the middle somewhat elevated and learn it from a Forsyth repetitor. And that was such a dream come true. And meanwhile, I remember that as a student, I was looking forward to the professional life that I happened to be living in that moment and thinking, wow, that would be so much better. And what I realized is there are so many amazing aspects to the student journey that are so worthy of celebrating and just fully choosing to enjoy. And the same is true for the professional life, but it's not like life got radically better one to the next. It was honestly all about the stories I was telling myself about, is this good enough for me? Am I really grateful for what I have? And it's all a choice to see it as good enough or not. So my final words of encouragement for you is to really make the choice to consistently choose contentment and gratitude. It is a choice. It's not a situation. It's a choice. Now, I do say that it's not a situation with a little caveat there. Obviously, if you are continually very frustrated, unhappy, unwell, discontent with your circumstance, that could be your emotions really telling you that's not the place for you, and there are some lifestyle changes that need to be made in order for you to be well and happy and thriving. So that's perfectly valid. I'm not here to say, hey, if you're in a super toxic environment right now, choose gratitude. No, I mean, sure, to an extent, but I'm not trying to tell you to, like, gaslight yourself into staying. Our emotions are very valid tools for feedback that our body is sending to us, like, hey, we're not thriving right now. Maybe let's do something about it. Sometimes the answer is to change our mentality. It is valid that sometimes the answer is to change your situation. So I will leave that up to your discernment, what is the best fit for you. But in general, I want to say it's a very life-changing approach to choose to find the good in every situation. And that doesn't mean that you're being unrealistic. It doesn't mean that you are disregarding the negative things that are important to look at. You can really have both. You can see the good and say, okay, here are some things that are important to acknowledge and to change. It's not like you choose one or the other. So I want to just kind of debunk that myth that I see a lot of dancers buying into of like that black or white thinking. Either you just look at everything and you're like super positive and it's always great, or you're negative, but we really call negative realistic. So, anyway, I could go on a whole thing about that and I won't. So I just want to leave you with gratitude is a choice, contentment is a choice. Look for the good right now, choose to enjoy it. That's when that cliche thing of like the journey is the reward, it's all about the process, enjoy the journey, all those cliche things, there's a lot of truth to them and a lot of value to it. So don't knock it just because it seems a little cheesy. It's totally okay. That's my pep talk for all of you. I really hope that you enjoyed this. I'd love to know what clicked for you or clicked with you in this video. And I really appreciate you for watching. And I'll see you next time. All right, bye.